URC Power Rankings, folks, after 9 rounds, kind of, because you've still got some of the teams not quite perfectly lined up. The Lions are 2 games behind everyone else. The Bulls are a game behind everyone else. Yeah, things have been a little bit messy with the draw, but oh well, 9 rounds in. Some really contrasting weather as well. I'm sitting here in NZ. Admittedly, I didn't watch as much rugby as I normally would have. I've been painting a fence. Then I look at the weather in Wales and Scotland and Ireland, and that's not really fence painting weather. South Africa looked all right. Treviso looked all right. But, yeah, we'll go through the power rankings, and you guys can let us know your thoughts. I wasn't that happy with the power rankings last time, to be honest, but some of the teams that didn't get ranked that well didn't win. So maybe there is something to it after all. Who knows? Zebre is there in 16th. They are down 1 spot. It's a long time ago since their first win in goodness knows how was it. It was over a year, but they got another loss to Benetton. Benetton are flying high, so there's no real shame in that. They got pretty well beaten. They scored, didn't they score? No, they scored the 3rd try. I think they were 14-0 down. So, yeah, their record is 1 win, 7 losses, and a draw. They are the only side alongside the Sharks who haven't had more than the 1 win. The Scarlets are here in 15th. They had a loss in their game against the Dragons, which was maybe unexpected because the Dragons haven't been winning a lot of games either. They scored the first try in their game. They were leading, or was it? No, there was 13-12 with 10 to play. So there was game on with game to play, but they missed the conversion. They could have been a point ahead, but they finished up being a point down. Admittedly, the weather was pretty bad. Their record is 2-7, so not great from the Scarlets. Their position on the log is 13th, so the log's got them slightly higher than the power rankings, but I don't think their current form is the best. The Sharks, speaking of teams whose current form is not the best, they are at 1-7, so they are one of the teams who's kind of behind everybody else. So maybe done them a favour in the power rankings and that they didn't get a loss when everyone else played. So the other teams that lost the same week when they didn't play are ranked maybe a little bit lower than the Sharks. Same spot as last week. Werner Cox scored a flyer. They had a 1-point lead at 59 minutes, but they managed to concede a penalty straight away. John Plumtree seems to have his work cut out for him in Durban. It's not been the kind of easiest return. And then the Dragons. I got their kit on for a reason. They had a win. Good for them. Up 3 spots. First win in a while. In the wet. Aaron Wainwright, the captain, scoring a try. 10-7 halftime lead. They managed to kind of push through and walk away with a derby win in front of a good crowd who cheered heartily at their team's win. So well done to the Dragons. The next row, we've got Cardiff here in 12th. Cardiff are pretty bloody inconsistent. They can't seem to go back-to-back at all. Down 1 spot. Very wet, muddy. I do like seeing the Lane train, Owen Lane, getting a try. They led for a while. I think it was like 18-5 at one point. But, yeah, they couldn't cope with some of the power of the Ospreys boys. So, yeah, sadly for them, the record goes to 3 wins, 5 losses, and a draw. My spot 12 on the power rankings. It's not too different from this spot on the log, which is 11th. Munster, who I was sure I had ranked too low on last time's power rankings, are down a spot into 11th. So, yeah, that's actually not too different from their spot on the table. They're 10th on the table. So it's, yeah, maybe it's just right. I don't know. 4 wins, 4 losses, and a draw. Recent record not great against their Irish rivals. Maybe you could argue the teams they're playing are tougher than some of the teams in the other conferences, especially because they've played Leinster twice. But, yeah, they were denied a pretty easy one early with a charge down try. If I think it was Coombs could have just put it down, just touched it, he would have scored a try, but he ended up kind of grabbing it and then forcing it, which meant his knee was in touch, so or over the dead ball line. So, yeah, very wet game, but they lost to Connacht. So, yeah, they're the bottom ranked of the Irish sides on the old power rankings. The Lions, are you guys even still playing anymore? It's 2 weeks without seeing you guys play. I don't know what's going on, but hopefully we get to see you back in action at some point because it's been a while. You haven't been beaten in a couple of rounds, but I've still got you down a spot because some other teams won around you. One of them being Connacht. Connacht managed to get a win. They had such a flying start to the season. Then it seemed to a little bit kind of go by the wayside, but nah, back on the train now. With a win over rivals Munster, like I mentioned, the boot of J. Hanrahan. mainly got them through it, and then that try to Ainger at the death was kind of the icing on the cake. So in the very wet and windy, not great for fence painting weather over there in Galway. The Bulls I've got in 8th. The Bulls didn't play, but I got them down 4 spots. Not because the Bulls did anything wrong, but because teams around them won. The Bulls will have a chance to regain a spot on the power rankings once they get that game in hand above everybody else. The Stormers, good face painting? Probably face painting and fence painting weather in Cape Town by the look of things. I'm sure that day someone in Cape Town was painting a fence because it looked bloody beautiful. Great crowd. Across the board, there were great crowds, to be honest. Despite piddling down weather in many spots of the URC countries, great crowds just generally for the holiday period. So fantastic stuff. Cape Town, no exception. Great crowd. Dion Ferree seems to bloody love the open space. Again, for a guy his age and his position, you wouldn't have thought it, but he's loving it. And yeah, goal kicks end up winning in the game. So well done, Stormers, with their win over the Sharks. The Ospreys, the highest ranked of the Welsh teams, and 6th. Like I mentioned kind of earlier, kind of came back from the dead with their forwards basically bailing them out in the muddy conditions. Penalty try, they managed to get through their forwards. Their maul got going. So yeah, goal kicks and forwards win games in wet weather. So the Ospreys, like the Stormers, are up 1 spot. And then Edinburgh here in 5th. Edinburgh up 1 spot. Is it just me? Or is that Scottish-Italian Shield group? Is that the highest rank? I know the Zebre boys are not doing that well, but the other 3 teams in that group are doing bloody well. We're usually talking about the South African and the Irish groups with us, but Benetton and the 2 Scottish sides look pretty bloody solid. So great big crowd at Murrayfield. You know, they don't usually play there, but they play the old 1872 Cup there, and they were treated to a ding-dong battle. A few lead changes. Darcy Graham and Duan Vandermeer linking up for a great try, which would have got the crowd on their feet. So, yeah, up 1 spot, Edinburgh. They beat their cross-city rivals, Glasgow. Glasgow's been doing all right this URC season. Their record is still 6-3. Bloody Johnny Matthews gets on the board again, which I don't know what the bookies are paying for him to score tries every game, but it's almost like a free money. I don't know. I haven't put any money on it. But, yeah, man. Away loss to Edinburgh after winning the week before means they still get the 1872 Cup. But, yeah, they would have liked to have done the double. So down 1 spot on the power rankings. Ulster are here in 3rd. They are up 2 spots. Managed to get a away win over Leinster. That doesn't happen very often. I did see, because I admittedly, being a holiday period, crawled out of bed a little bit too late to see the whole game. But I saw the end of the game with Leinster kind of missing a seemingly pretty good chance to at least have an attack at the end of the game when Harry Byrne fluffed his lines for his touch finder. But what can I say, man? Ulster, with their kicking game, finding so much space in the Leinster backfield, just looked electric. So, yeah, up 2 spots on the power rankings. Speaking of Leinster, goodness me, I've dropped them a spot. It's nothing personal. It's just how the maths came out. Leinster drop a spot because they lost. They lost at home. They changed their side, admittedly, but I don't take that into account. I'm just looking at the result. They lost at home to Ulster. It's one of those ones where you were sure Leinster were going to come back and win it because they always bloody find a way to come back and win it at the death. We saw them do it at Connacht not that long ago, a few weeks ago, but this time it just didn't quite happen. So, yeah, Leinster, surprisingly, 2nd loss of the season. Very, very, very surprising. Which means we're bookending the Italians. We've got 1 Italian side at the top and 1 Italian side at the bottom. Now, admittedly, I do have slight reservations over Benetton being at the top because they've beaten Zebre twice recently. They beat the Ospreys, they beat Edinburgh, they beat the Stormers, they beat the Lions, they drew with Munster, and the only side they lost to was Glasgow. They are unbeaten at home, Benetton. So they haven't played that many teams like Leinster, Ulster. They have played Glasgow and they lost. They beat Edinburgh, beat Ospreys, beat Stormers. So, yeah, we still need them to see maybe take a big scalp or 2. They are playing Leinster away on the 18th of February. So, that's not that far away. I think I'll be backing Leinster to win that one. But I'm loving seeing the Benetton boys do well. They have only lost 1 game all year, which is more than any of the other teams can say thus far. So there you go. Power rankings for the new year. Hope you guys are all doing good. Hopefully it stopped raining in Wales, Scotland and Ireland Hopefully it is still fine in Italy and South Africa. Hope you guys are all doing good. If you're having a holiday, enjoy it. I still have a bit more fence to paint. But yes, you guys take care of yourselves. And I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.